So now I want to introduce the concept of a strategy that is a best response strategy. Best response strategy, SI, is a best response if the utility for player I of playing SI, given what other players are playing, is greater than or equal to the utility of any other strategy available to player I as prime. Again, given what these other players are playing, and this is true. This is true for all S prime in the set of strategies available to player I. The big difference between the best response strategy and the dominant or strictly dominant strategy is that for the dominant strategy, this would also be true for all strategies potentially played by other players, and not just the given profile of strategies played by other players. So this would be true for all such strategies potentially played by other players. That would be the dominant, but for a best response, this is not the case. For a best response function, we focus, strictly speaking, on a given profile of strategies played by other players, and we say that the best response strategy is that strategy that yields the highest utility as compared with other strategies available to the player. Now, what we've done thus far is, well, I've shown you how you can eliminate strictly dominated strategies, and the rationale for that is simply that a rational player would not choose this strategy, and so the other players will actually anticipate this. And so we're exploiting here the assumption of common knowledge of each other's rationality to justify this iterative removal of strictly dominated strategies. And now more generally, we're going to be doing the same thing and eliminate all strategies that are never best responses. And once we do that, we get to the set of rationalizable strategies, which are those strategies that are basically not expected to be played in a game where we have common knowledge of rationality amongst the players. So the idea is that we eliminate strategies that are strictly dominated, but we also more generally eliminate strategies that are never best responses to get to the set of rationalizable strategies. Now, strategies that are strictly dominated will never be a best response, right? So we can just eliminate them right off the bat, but now we're left with strategies that, even though they're not strictly dominated, they might never be a best response, right? And so we want to eliminate those strategies as well. And as it turns out, this is typically the case, that there can be strategies that are never a best response and yet are not strictly dominated in games where there are more than two players. And so when there are only two players, as it turns out, these two processes are actually the same. But when there are more than two players, eliminating strategies that are strictly dominated is not enough. You have to more generally eliminate strategies that are never best responses.